So you've been doing the work. You've listened to our analyses of faith and will, order, and all the other centers of consciousness.
Mhm.
And, at least intellectually, that you have all 12 powers. You wake up Monday morning, you're ready to go, ready to start that process of regeneration.
And this right here, this is almost always where this system breaks down for people.
Okay. How so?
Well, you identify a problem, right?
Hmm.
Maybe you're procrastinating or you just feel like you're not moving forward. So you decide, okay, I'm going to fire up zeal.
Right. The impulse to go forward.
Exactly. You read your affirmations, you have your coffee, you clear the whole calendar, and you just push. You push really hard, fueled by all that fiery enthusiasm.
And it works for a little while.
It works for a moment. For maybe 2, 3 days, you feel this incredible surge of productivity. You feel confident.
But then you hit a wall.
You hit a wall.
Well,
You crash, you burn out, and by the end of the week, the original problem, that procrastination, the chaos, it's back. And sometimes it's even worse than before.
we see that same pattern with order, too. You focus only on order, and suddenly your life is so perfectly structured, you become totally rigid.
Judgmental, yeah.
You can't handle one single thing going off plan, and it kills any chance for, life or love to even enter the picture.
That's the fundamental issue. We treat these spiritual qualities like they're just individual tools in a toolbox.
Mine are not.
They're not. Charles Fillmore, our source for this, was so clear about this. The powers have to work as a coordinated team. When you just rely on one like zeal without the balance of, say, wisdom or order, you don't get regeneration.
What do you get?
You get a temporary chaotic force that just inevitably burns out the whole system because it has no direction. It lacks integration.
We've spent the last, 12 sessions building the individual components. So today, we're stepping back. We're looking at the whole system.
Exactly.
We're defining integration, not as some abstract idea, but as the master key to unlocking sustainable self-renewal.
And our whole purpose today is to show you the architecture of this system. We want you to see it so you can move beyond that cycle of temporary success, then burnout, and move into sustained wholeness.
Sure.
We've got 3 essential outcomes we're aiming for.
Okay, first, we're going to show you exactly how the 12 powers function as an inner team. We're going to assign each one a specific job in your own internal C-suite.
Then second, we'll get into the critical power pairings. This is all about balance. We'll show you how these faculties check and support each other to prevent that spiritual dysfunction, things like fanaticism or just rigid control.
And finally, we're going to give you a really practical, actionable diagnostic tool and a guided practice. This is so you can consistently apply all 12 faculties, not just one or two, and build a life that actually lasts, not just a week of frantic activity.
It's a systemic approach.
If this episode helps you, please hit like and subscribe for the next one. All right, let's unpack this idea of integration a little more because it's a pretty big philosophical concept in this material.
It's huge.
Integration in this framework is the key that moves you beyond what the source calls generation, which is basically just biological survival, selfish consciousness to regeneration.
Which is spiritual unfoldment and wholeness. And that distinction is so important, it's worth pausing on for a second.
Go for it.
Generation, biologically, is just about perpetuating the human form. It's a linear process. You're born, you grow, you reproduce, and then, you inevitably decline and die. You're living under the natural law of entropy.
So generation is kind of the default setting. It's the unexamined life.
That's a perfect way to put it. It's living with a fragmented consciousness. Your focus is on selfish desires, survival, the demands of the outside world.
Right.
Regeneration, on the other hand, is about reversing that entropy. It's about consciously directing your life force using higher spiritual laws for rejuvenation, for mental clarity. Fillmore saw the 12 powers as 12 notes necessary to produce a beautiful chord.
And a chord is only beautiful because all the notes are sounding at the same time, in harmony. If one note is missing or out of tune,
The whole thing's off.
yeah, if your zeal is super high but your wisdom is low, or your faith is strong but you have zero order, it just unbalances the entire composition of your soul.
Exactly. We like to frame the 12 powers as your inner metacognitive operating system. And that's not just a nice phrase. This system is designed to run your entire human experience on purpose.
Moving from fragmentation to wholeness?
Precisely. From scattered, misused energy to a state where every single faculty supports all the others.
Which is why that central entity is so important, right? The I am, or what the material calls the Christed will, your higher self.
It's the senior project manager. It's the central consciousness that coordinates everything. It has to.
What happens if it doesn't? If you just try to use one power on its own?
Well, if you try to force an outcome with just raw will or attract something with unguided love, you get what the Source calls abnormal, chaotic, and unlawful soul unfoldment.
That sounds pretty dramatic. What does that actually look like in, modern terms?
It's self-destruction that's disguised as progress. It looks like obsession, compulsive behavior, fanaticism, depression, emotional instability.
Can you give an example?
Sure. When will is unlawful, it's not conscious choice. It's just selfish determination that completely ignores the consequences. When love is unlawful, it becomes codependency or emotional manipulation. You're using divine energy for fragmented, destructive ends. The energy is there, it's powerful, but without wise direction, it just causes internal damage.
So integration is really about channeling your raw life force and directing that energy with wisdom and order and will toward a purposeful expression.
That's it. Think of your life force like electricity. It's
Yeah.
powerful. But if you don't have a good engineer, your conscious will, guided by understanding and order to direct it, it just shorts out the circuit. Integration prevents the burnout.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. Let's map out the org chart. If this is an operating system, let's meet the C-suite. The Source links each power to a department head in the body. So let's give each one a modern one-sentence role.
Great. Let's start with what we can call the vision and direction group. These are the faculties that set the course for the whole operation.
And the chief visionary has to be Faith, Peter, located in the center of the brain.
Right. So faith is the visionary. This faculty perceives the unseen potential. It pulls that future reality out of the invisible spiritual substance and gives you your objective.
Then you need someone who understands the rules. That's understanding, Thomas, in the front brain.
Understanding is the interpreter. It's your ability to gain clear insight into the laws of thought. It makes sure your actions are grounded in spiritual intelligence, not just, guesswork.
And of course, the one who designs the final product. Imagination. Bartholomew right between the eyes.
Imagination is the designer. It conceptualizes the ideal form. It projects these detailed images of beauty and success into reality. It's essential for any kind of creative manifestation.
All right, so that's the vision. Now for the execution and energy group. This is how the work actually gets done. Starting with the top, the executive, Will.
Will, or Matthew, is absolutely the executive. This is your faculty of conscious choice of decision-making. It's the directing factor that takes that vision from faith and turns it into actual physical action.
Next up, Zeal. Simon, the enthusiast.
Zeal is the fuel injector. It provides that fiery enthusiasm, the impulse, the intense energy to move forward. Zeal is really the energy source for all the other 11 powers.
And then the activator, which is power, Philip, at the root of the tongue.
Power is the activator. Its thoughts and speech vibrate with spiritual energy to manifest change. It's the mechanism that releases energy through your whole system and out into the world.
Okay, now for the maintenance and governance group. The ones that keep the system running smoothly.
And ethically.
Yeah.
First up is love, John, who is the great harmonizer. Located in the back of the heart, it unifies, it attracts, it builds coherence, and makes sure the system isn't just driven by selfishness.
And wisdom or judgment. James, son of Zebedee, in the solar plexus.
Wisdom is the discernment specialist. This is the part of you that evaluates options, it appraises reality, and it applies knowledge practically. It's what makes correct, grounded decisions.
Next is order, James, son of Alphaeus, at the navel.
Order is the system's architect. This is the faculty that establishes harmonious sequence, structure, and right adjustment. It ensures everything you do is in cooperation with spiritual law.
And strength, Andrew. This one is about endurance and stability.
Exactly. Strength is the endurance engine. It gives you the physical and mental stamina, the stability, the follow-through you need to persist when you hit resistance. It turns obstacles into stepping stones.
Which brings us to the two fundamental powers of renewal, elimination and life. Let's start with life, symbolized by Judas. This is one that I think always trips people up. Why is the regenerator life symbolized by Judas, the betrayer?
That is such a great question, and it really shows Fillmore's genius. Judas represents the one faculty that is most often misused or betrayed by our human consciousness.
Which is the life force itself.
The life force itself. When we get stuck in toxic thoughts, resentments, destructive habits, we are literally betraying the life energy we've been given. We're letting it run down. We're dissipating it. So life is placed at the generative center to remind us that its potential for renewal, for regeneration, is everything. But its misuse is the most common form of inner betrayal.
That reframes the whole symbol. So life, Judas, is the regenerator.
Yes. It conserves vital energy, and it's the primary force that renews the whole organism against that pull of entropy.
And finally, elimination, tareas.
Elimination is the purifier. This is so crucial. It's a faculty of renunciation, of letting go. It releases false beliefs, toxic thoughts, everything that no longer serves you. It cleans the system of psychic and physical waste.
So if the system is integrated, you have this whole C-suite running your inner world in harmony. The chaos starts when, say, the visionary faith gives an impossible goal to the executive will, or when the fuel injector, zeal, is just running red hot without the discernment specialist wisdom in the passenger seat.
And that brings us perfectly to the power pairings. Integration really shines, not when you develop these powers one by one, but when these balance loops are active. These pairings prevent any single faculty from just taking over and leading to chaos. They create what you could call systemic homeostasis.
Okay, so let's walk through some of the foundational pairs, starting with faith and will. How do they work together?
Faith is your spiritual assurance. It sees the goal, the unseen potential. But that vision is totally useless. It's just a daydream. If your will doesn't consciously say yes to it and lock on, faith has to be established in will, in your executive choice, to become real.
And what happens when that pairing breaks down?
Well, it can break in two ways. If your faith is weak, just sort of an "I hope this works" feeling, but your will is trying to push with rigid, exhausting effort,
Brute force.
you get brute force discipline. And that leads straight to burnout because the inner commitment just isn't there. But on the other hand, if your faith is strong, "I know I can do this," but your will is passive, you just get wishful thinking, procrastination.
So if you're procrastinating, it might not be a motivation problem, it's a will problem.
Often, yes. The will is just waiting for a clear, trusted vision from faith to act on.
That's a key distinction. Okay, next pair, love and power. Love is the harmonizer, power is the energy of your spoken word and thought.
This pairing is a critical safeguard. Love has to guide power. It ensures that your ability to master thought and feeling through your words, that vibration of power, is guided by a constructive intent, by universal unity.
And if power is deployed without love,
It becomes destructive. It becomes manipulation, or it causes harm through harsh criticism or judgment. Power without love is just coercion.
so all those affirmations or visualizations are only really constructive if they're sourced from a consciousness of love.
Exactly. It makes sure the energy you're putting out into the world is attracting harmony, not more chaos.
A really practical pairing I see is strength and order.
Oh, absolutely. Strength is your endurance engine, the stability to persist. Order is the systems architect, the right pattern. Now look at what happens when they're not paired. Strength without order is just joyless drudgery.
You're just
You're grinding. You're working hard, but without a clear, worthwhile pattern, so you just end up collapsing, physically and mentally.
Yeah.
Durable, but you're directionless.
And order without strength.
That's fragile perfectionism.
Yeah.
You have the perfect plan, the perfect spreadsheet, but the second real resistance hits, an unexpected problem, a difficult client, the whole thing shatters because you don't have the foundational endurance to absorb the shock.
So they ensure you stay the course, using a pattern that's actually resilient.
Yes.
Okay, the fourth pairing, wisdom and zeal. We talked about the danger of zeal running wild earlier.
This is maybe the most important check on pure enthusiasm. Zeal gives you that fiery, go-forward impulse. But if you don't regulate it, it just becomes fanaticism or compulsion or just immediate burnout. The source material warns, do not let your zeal run away with your judgment.
So wisdom or judgment is the brakes. It's the map. It channels that enthusiasm.
It does. In daily life, it means before you launch into some new project fueled by all that zeal, wisdom makes you pause and ask, is this necessary? Is this the right time? Is this really about my own transformation? Or am I just trying to force external change?
And if zeal bypasses that?
You end up pouring all your high energy into low-value, unsustainable things, like volunteering for everything until you completely collapse.
Okay, next. Imagination and understanding. The designer and the interpreter.
Imagination gives you the blueprint for the new life you want, but it can easily become just fantasy if it isn't anchored by understanding. Understanding is what interprets the spiritual laws that make that vision possible.
So it puts feet under the prayer, as the sources say.
It grounds it. Imagination sees the vision of a healthy body. Understanding interprets the law of life and health. It knows you need consistency and nutrition and movement. Without understanding, your vision is vulnerable to doubt the moment you hit a snag. It answers the question, how will this happen according to a reliable law?
And finally, the essential maintenance cycle. Elimination and life.
This is the core flow of renewal. It's so simple. You cannot add new vitality, new life to a system that's clogged with waste.
So there has to be a letting go first.
But letting go of the old thoughts, the toxic beliefs, before the new life can find space to take root. So if you're feeling low on energy, the first step isn't to add more stimulants or more effort.
The first step is subtraction.
The first step is subtraction. Elimination is that crucial act of renouncing false beliefs, clearing out the resentment, the fear, the guilt. That's what frees up the psychic and physical space for new life energy to flow in. So if you're low on life, the first question is always, what am I refusing to eliminate?
So we have the team. We know how they're supposed to balance each other. But let's get to that critical moment. It's Wednesday afternoon. You feel that spiritual engine light come on. How do you figure out which power is missing? This is what we're calling the 60-second diagnostic.
Right? We look at the symptom, we identify the missing power, and then we apply a microfix, a tiny action under 2 minutes to immediately jumpstart that missing faculty by engaging its corresponding center in the body.
Okay, let's start with the most common one. Burnout, fatigue, that feeling of constant depletion.
That is a missing life faculty. The microfix is physiological, and it's immediate. The physiological sigh.
What's that?
It's a specific breathing pattern. It's a double inhale through the nose like 2 quick sips of air, followed by a long, slow exhale through the mouth. This is scientifically shown to offload excess CO2, and it quickly resets your autonomic nervous system. It pulls you out of that stress response and back into vitality.
That's amazing, connecting the fix for the life force directly to the nervous system. What about chronic anxiety or worry? That constant tension about the future.
That's a sign your will and faith are overstressed. They're trying to control the uncontrollable. The fix here is will relaxation. Just for 60 seconds, set aside your personal objectives. Affirm to yourself, not my will, but the divine will be done. You're consciously releasing that tension by submitting your need to micromanage to a higher order.
And for someone stuck in perfectionism or rigidity, trapped by their own plan.
That's usually order being overdone, and it's missing the fluidity of imagination. The fix is dynamic. The 1-minute dance. Seriously, stand up and just move vigorously to music for 60 seconds. Shake it out. Rigidity in the mind is always mirrored by rigidity in the body. When you disrupt that physical posture, you signal to your whole system that it's safe to shift, to break patterns, to let imagination in.
I love that. Okay, what about inconsistency or drifting? Great ideas, but zero follow-through.
That means you're lacking the foundational stability of strength and will. Your endurance reserves are just too low, so the fix is proactive. We call it the no pause.
The no pause.
Wait a full 2 seconds. A conscious, deliberate pause before you agree to any new request or commitment. That little gap protects your energy reserves. It stops you from making commitments that drain your endurance engine before you even start the important work.
And finally, toxic habits or resentment. Holding on to old emotions, old grudges that just pull you down.
That's clear failure to engage elimination. The fix is a gratitude sprint. Quickly list 3 specific, detailed things you are genuinely grateful for right now. This instantly shifts your emotional energy from that negative, stuck pattern to a positive, renewing flow. It clears the psychic clutter. You literally cannot feel grateful and resentful in the exact same moment.
What I love about these is how counterintuitive they are. The way to get more life energy is to first practice elimination. The way to gain more control is to first surrender your will.
It's systemic thinking. You're addressing the root cause, not just throwing more brute force at the symptom. You're teaching the inner team how to work together.
Okay, let's take this diagnostic and turn it into an active tool right now. We're going to do a practical integration reset. This is a deliberate 5-minute process where you select 3 powers you need for a specific issue, and you engage each one with a micro-action.
And the goal isn't to solve the problem in 5 minutes. It's about firing the right circuits and coordination. It's about quickening those neurological centers.
Okay, let's use a common example. You feel stalled on a big creative project, a presentation, a paper, whatever. You just lack momentum and direction.
All right, step 1. Pick one real problem. We've got it. The stalled creative project.
Step 2. Choose the 3 powers you need most. For a stalled project, you probably need a fresh vision, a plan, and the fuel to keep going. So, imagination, order, and strength.
Perfect. Now let's fire up those 3 centers with a micro-action for each one. Takes about a minute apiece.
Okay, action 1. Imagination. We need the designer to give us the finished blueprint.
So close your eyes. And don't just think about the completed project, visualize it. Engage your senses. Smell the paper, hear the applause, feel the relief of it being done. Project that image of beauty and success. This conscious direction of imagination is a powerful creative act. It pulls the outcome you want out of the unseen.
That immediately changes the feeling from stuck to possible. Now, action 2, order. We need the systems architect to create some structure.
A quick posture check. If you're sitting, sit up tall. If you're standing, lift your rib cage, roll your shoulders back and down. This physical alignment, this right adjustment of your body, immediately signals divine order to your whole system. Order starts from within.
And finally, action 3, strength, the endurance engine. We need to physically affirm our capacity to keep going.
For this, we use the get down. If you're physically able, you get down on the floor and then you stand back up one time without using your hands. It's a profound mobility check that affirms your physical endurance and stability. It engages that center in the lower back. If the floor isn't an option, just do 5 slow, powerful squats. The small act affirms the steadfastness you need for the journey.
The power in this reset is its speed and the fact that it's physical. It's teaching your system that discipline isn't punishment.
It's conscious, informed direction. It mirrors that insight from the source material that growth comes from alternating stress, these small, deliberate actions, with recovery. You're training your internal team to cooperate on demand.
Now, once you start this practice, you're going to hit resistance. The old patterns are going to push back.
They always do. So we've identified 5 common internal obstacles and their integration fixes.
Obstacle 1, overthinking, analysis paralysis. You become that cold judge. Your wisdom is working, but without the warmth of love.
The fix is to activate love. Stop the mental churning. Deliberately center your attention in your heart space. Affirm harmony. Wisdom and love are brothers. They have to sit on the throne together. Without love, wisdom just becomes harsh and self-critical.
Obstacle 2, inconsistency, drift, making great starts, but never finishing.
The fix there is to establish rhythm. Adopt the mentality of a sprinter, not a marathon runner. Work in focused, 90-minute pulses, then take a real recovery break. You can't manage time, but you can absolutely manage your energy by respecting your body's natural rhythm.
Obstacle 3, guilt or self-sabotage, those toxic thoughts that just linger, the uneliminated past holding you hostage.
The fix is radical elimination. You have to renounce the old thoughts. Let go of the compulsive need to be right or to chase drama just to feel something. You have to courageously walk away from what drains you to free up the life center.
Obstacle 4, burnout, depletion, pouring all of your enthusiasm, all your zeal into other people or external causes and neglecting yourself.
That's the classic zeal without wisdom failure. The fix is redeemed zeal plus order. Direct that fiery energy toward transforming yourself first. Look at someone like Benjamin Franklin. He had a strict, ordered schedule to maximize his cognitive energy. The goal shifts from managing time to rigorously managing your energy.
And obstacle 5, skepticism or fragility, a weak vision, a lack of commitment when things get hard.
The fix is to anchor faith with strength. You have to recognize the divine spark is already in you. These powers are inherent. Rituals like daily movement or this integration reset we just did, they signal safety to your nervous system. They build the stable foundation strength that faith needs to stay the course, even when you can't see the results yet.
The ability to overcome these obstacles is really the difference between living in that old paradigm of generation and stepping into the self-renewing wholeness of regeneration.
It is.
Okay, so what does this all mean for you moving forward? Let's quickly review the 7 core takeaways from this whole discussion on integration.
1. The 12 powers are a coordinated inner team, not just a random list of qualities.
2. The goal is to move from biological generation to conscious spiritual regeneration.
3. Every faculty, from faith the visionary to life the regenerator, has a distinct and absolutely essential role to play.
4. Real balance is achieved through those power pairings. Zeal provides the fuel, but wisdom and order provide the map.
5. Operating with just one unpaired faculty leads to problems like compulsion, fanaticism, or depletion, that unlawful unfoldment.
6. The quickest way to reset is that 60-second diagnostic. Identify the missing power and apply a specific physical microfix.
And 7. True integration is consciously directing your vital energy through will, order, and wisdom to express your highest divine potential.
The ancient prophecy about sitting on 12 thrones. It's not about external power or some future event.
Not at all. It's about mastering your own spiritual nature. It's about awakening and coordinating these 12 centers inside your own being. You have the architecture now. The next step is just ongoing practice, the constant conscious alignment of your will with the divine will.
We've really spent this time building the architecture for sustained high performance. It's about focusing on quality vitality, what modern science is now calling health span, not just more time alive. If you're just discovering the system, we really encourage you to go back and restart at the beginning, at episode 1. Work through the whole series.
This framework, even though it's centuries old, is a remarkably sophisticated operating system for achieving that fully integrated state. The integrated self is self-renewing. It's whole. It's no longer tossed around by external circumstances or chaotic inner energies.
Thanks for being here. If you want the full series, check the playlist, and please like and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.